Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Peach State Power Hour, presented to you by UGAsports.com and M. Jones HVAC. We appreciate you guys joining us on this Sunday night. We'll get you prepped up for that Falcons game. We'll get you ready to go. We'll prime you up for that. We'll also get you primed up for Georgia, Alabama. Big matchup ahead. And we also have a special guest. He used to play a little ball for the Georgia Bulldogs, and we'll get to him a little later. Now, I'm going to let Eddie introduce him. But before we do all that, guys, as we do every week, we want to know where you're watching from. Put that into the comments section. If it's your first time watching, please do not make up a city. I'll call you out on it. But if it's your 50th time watching, let us know. And like always, guys, your comments help drive the show greatly. So we appreciate every one of them coming in. It's a little slow right now. It's all right, though. They'll come in. Andy, your weekend wasn't slow, though. You're never a slow guy. How was your weekend, my friend?
It was busy, like you said. No, a lot of yard work. My dad's birthday. Went and watched Beetlejuice. All those things, and of course, you got to watch football. So yeah, no, it was a little busy, but it was good.
I'm gonna tell you what, brother. I didn't have to work, right? Because Georgia didn't play, so really relaxing Saturday. Was really hoping for some better football to watch, and it was a rough day to be able to sit back and relax with Georgia having an off week. There weren't many good games, but I'm sure Eddie probably yelled at some clouds when he's watching some games. Eddie, what's up, my friend?
Oh, I'm getting ready to. I got 3 things, if you'll indulge me, Paul, to open the show with, okay? Just relax, okay? Take a pill, like you always say to me. I know you guys watched the Auburn-Arkansas game. Did you all catch this? When they were firing the crowd up at Auburn, their big, whatever you call it, billboard. Jumbotron, thank you. A shot of Nick Fairley sacking Aaron Murray to fire up the crowd. That's what they had. Guys, that was 14 years ago.
That's all they have.
14. And that's what they're using to fire up the crowd. You're playing Arkansas. You're not playing Georgia. And they proceeded to lose. So that made
they lost. Yeah.
So
I don't think they wanted that out, Eddie, if we're being honest. I think that got slipped out there.
It was on TV.
Yeah, a bunch of people caught it, right? Yeah. I know Dane tweeted out. There's a bunch that caught that.
That's right.
Really kind of a low blow there from the.
We live in an era of social media, so that kind of stuff is going to get out. So they're idiots. Auburn sucks. Second, Colorado pulled one out of their absolute hanky last night. I still think Deion's a fraud, but that was the best football game of the weekend, Paul. You're talking about not so good football. Travis Hunter should be the lead candidate right now for the Heisman Trophy. That guy is unbelievable. He had 7 catches for 130 yards. He's the leading wide receiver on the team, and he plays most snaps on defense.
Yeah.
Game-saving tackle at the end zone to make a fumble, and Colorado wins. That dude, Travis Hunter, is can you imagine if he had come to Georgia, guys?
It was close. It was really close.
Yes, that's going to be one of my questions for him is where would you play him? Because, I don't want to give it away, your guess, but he knows football. So we'll ask him.
All right, lastly, I am in New Orleans. That's why the background's funny, and I know I always look funny, but whatever. In New Orleans, and going to have my favorite dish tomorrow from New Orleans. So you guys have any idea what that might be? It's not red beans and rice.
Gumbo?
Crawfish etouffee. I have no clue, Eddie. We're not playing this game again. No, the whole show.
Ask the listeners. It's fun.
We're not doing it. No.
All right. No. Soft shell crab. Having it tomorrow. It's fantastic. Fried soft shell crab.
You eat the shell?
It's called soft shell crab. There is no shell. It's all you can eat the entire. It comes out.
Why the hell is it called soft shell crab? Why wouldn't they just call it crab?
Crab instead of no.
Because you have to kind of explain what it is, Paul. I mean, if you give somebody a crab, they're going to say, "Well, I got to work around the shell." There's no shell. You just fry the whole damn thing and you eat it.
It really messes me up when it says soft shell crab and there's no shell.
Like a soft shell taco or a hard shell taco.
I guess you're right. Technically speaking, there is no shell. You're right, but get on to the people in New Orleans. Don't get on to me. I didn't come up with the rules.
Marshmut says, "Dang, boys, can't believe I forgot about the show. Please forgive me. I just threw my pencil across the room." Soft shells are great, he says. Alex Page says, "Eddie, don't get into it with the Saints fans like Jalen Carter did." You guys see that?
Yeah.
I was going to bring that up, but he already did.
We got Chet in here from Sonoya, Georgia. We appreciate you guys watching with us. Garrett Keys in the building. Says, "Evening, gents. I think Tennessee has locked themselves into the playoffs last night's win." Let's not.
Let's pump the brake there, Mr. Key.
I wasn't that impressed with that. I wasn't that impressed.
Let's not get too crazy. Hey, somebody we are impressed with. If you're not going to introduce him, Eddie, I'm going to. So what do you got?
I'm ready. So bring him on, and I'll introduce his butt. Let's go.
All right. There he is.
I want to welcome Paul Etheridge
What's up, gentlemen?
What's up, Paul? Played tight end at the University of Georgia under Ray Goff from 1989 to 1992. We went to school together, Marist High School, and he is currently the offensive coordinator for Marist High School under Alan Chadwick, legend coach in Georgia. And I did some Wikipedia, Paul, and the only Etheridge that came up was Melissa. Sorry, so I don't know.
I don't think there's any confusion there.
Come to her window. Just come to her window. That's all you got.
And I like how Eddie said Marist, but didn't mention that right now you're the 10th ranked school in the state of Georgia.
I haven't gotten there yet. My intro's not over.
Oh, okay. You just wanted to shit on him a little bit and say that you couldn't find his name. Okay, but you wanted to go back.
I got to do that. I got to poke at the bear first.
Okay.
I like to be incognito, guys. You got to stay on the radar.
Yeah. I know you.
Right. Got a lot of skeletons in those closets, boys.
The Marist War Eagles are currently 5-0. The score so far: Jefferson 23-7. I guess the offensive coordinator was drinking that night because it's not very good. Woodward 38-0. Johns Creek 57-0, and Druid Hills 57-7. And the next game they have is what? Southwest DeKalb coming up, Paul? Is that right?
Yep, Friday.
So
correct.
Welcome. Thank you, Paul, for coming on the show. And we'll let you rip. Tell us about Marist War Eagles this year.
I like our squad a lot.
I can tell what the scores you're putting up, Paul.
Yeah, well, we've got our starting quarterback is the son of the defensive coordinator. And he has started for 3 years. We've never had a sophomore start at quarterback, and he is an absolute dream to coach. He's a coach's kid, so he's nothing like his dad. Correct. Yeah, his dad's been my best friend since I was 12, so he's got a lot more football savvy than his dad, that's for sure. But it really is it's incredible to have a young player, and I say young, he's a senior now, but what I mean is a kid that age that really understands the game the way he does. So it's great when you're on the same page, when you kind of have a mind melt. I'm thinking one thing, he thinks the same thing. We start to call a play and he knows the play. And, something impressive, we have these 7-on-7 pass tournaments in the summer. And I was out of town for one of them, and he became the offensive coordinator. So he was calling the plays for our offense. That's how well he knows it. So it makes my job really easy. So all the bad plays he calls and all the good ones are the ones that I call. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah. Does he have any college like big schools?
He's not big enough to play quarterback in college. He's not big enough to play quarterback anywhere. So he is going to Wofford on a baseball route. Because he's a heck of a baseball player. Great athlete.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun. We're quick. We're fast. We don't have maybe one small D1, but that's really it. Just a bunch of hardworking kids that take coaching really well, and we're really excited about the group. But 4A is absolutely loaded this year. So top to bottom, it's one of the deepest classes. Yeah, so it's going to be a war.
North Oconee's got a kid committed to Georgia. I don't know if he's shown up on your radar.
North Oconee is legit. You saw what they did to Jefferson the other night. I mean, they are legit. Everybody out of Region 1 can play. Warner Robbins, Benedictine, and you got Perry, who is I think they won it last year. So
they won the championship.
Yeah, it's deep and it's going to be tough. So
now, Paul, did y'all
get through the region?
Choose? I know Marist has done this in the past, where you choose to play up or down, or not down, but you can play up. Is that where you were slotted, and y'all said we're staying at 4A?
Yes, because we think that's the right place for us with the multipliers and everything. We're 4A. We were in 6 last year, which was that's just too big. We don't have the depth. I mean, you got offense and defense. We got a bunch of kids playing both ways. It's just we just get worn down. So that's 4A is where we should be.
Gee, I'm looking at your schedule, and I know we didn't bring you on here to talk Marist. We wanted to bring us on here to talk the Dogs. We got to talk Marist. Now, you were in 6A last year, went 12-2 at Marist.
And we lost to Thomas County, the eventual state champ, 13-7 in the semis. Yeah.
I mean,
and had chances to win that football game.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. They were really good.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Yeah, we beat Roswell. Yeah, it was quite, and we felt like it was quite an accomplishment for us. And the kids bought in, and it was an absolutely phenomenal year. and you're so close. We've been there so many times where I think the last 7 years in a row, we've made quarters or better. So it's hard to get right there to the top of the mountain and just, couldn't quite get there, but it was an amazing year.
We got Beyond Creative in here saying what's up. We appreciate you, Beyond. Paul, this game coming up for Georgia is pretty big. I would say so. I would say it's probably, man. Andy, you're the stat guy. What's the last biggest regular season? Would it be Tennessee when they came to Georgia?
Well, it would have probably
that was a fake hype game, though.
That was a fake hype game because, and I'll say Reese Davis. I watch College Game Day. He does a podcast, a College Game Day podcast. And when that game happened, he said he was riding down to the stadium and he told whoever was riding in the cart with him, he said, because a lot of people were picking Tennessee for that game, and he said, I think Georgia is about to destroy this team. He said, but if Tennessee wins, Tennessee's going to the playoff. He said, but I think Georgia is going to kill them. And that is really, especially in Athens, but I know we're going to Tuscaloosa, but there has not been that big of a regular season game that you say, okay, this may be the potential national championship rematch. That's in maybe since I guess maybe Notre Dame, maybe. Tennessee, I know Notre Dame had a lot of hype, but it's got to be Tennessee and Notre Dame. Can y'all think of another game that was in the past 10 years that's regular season?
Notre Dame probably the hype-wise, but they weren't as good.
No, they weren't.
Paul, I've got a question for you. When you're the OC of a team like Marist, it translates to Georgia fairly well, and you have to go on the road to a hostile environment and go play at a 7:30 game, and you saw your quarterback last week in Carson Beck. I don't know if he looked timid or what. How do you bring that confidence with you into a stadium? And he does a good job of it, but how do you prepare yourself for this? It seems like you're walking into, you are enemy territory full of 100,000 people that are ready to pull your head off at any single moment. It's going to be super loud. You're using the new, helmet microphones. Right. So you've got that in play. There's a lot of different aspects going into this.
Well,
what do you do?
If you play major college football, you're I don't want to say you're used to it because there are crowds that are more electric than others, but it doesn't phase these guys. They've been doing it their whole career.
You truly believe that it doesn't phase these guys.
100%. Yeah. You've got, because they're so mentally prepared and focused on what they're doing. All the outside noise, it's when you get down to it, you're battling the man right in front of you. And that's what you try to keep your focus on, not all the extracurriculars. So they will be locked and loaded and ready to go. I guarantee you. And what we say is you got them in your box, right? The guy you're supposed to block, the guy you're supposed to tackle, the gap you're supposed to fill, you just concentrate on doing your job. And if you get enough people doing their job, you win the football game. So you try to keep it small is what I'm saying. So I don't think, sure, we have some disadvantages playing on the road. Absolutely. And you should. But I don't think it's going to affect how we play or we'll be intimidated or nervous. No way.
Go ahead, Andy.
I was going to ask about the Kentucky game because Carson looked a little rattled. Do you think, that's a lot, that stadium up there is nothing like going down to Tuscaloosa. So do you think he was rattled in that game, or do you think it had anything to do with the fans, or?
No. Okay. My take on that ball game is this. We've scored less than 20 points in the last 5 years, all three of them being at Kentucky. That's not a coincidence, guys. Yeah. Kentucky they kind of hide in the weeds. They're good enough to beat you, but you don't get the same juice as playing a Tennessee or an Alabama or an LSU. You just don't. And you can't artificially create that. Mm-hmm. So they got embarrassed the week before in South Carolina. Mm-hmm. So they were playing with an edge. The crowd was into it. And frankly, guys, they came out and punched us in the mouth.
Yeah.
And you could tell like I said, they were playing with an edge. They were playing harder than we were. And that doesn't mean we weren't playing hard, but they were playing harder. The running back yards after contact was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Their defensive front was getting after us. And let's face it, we didn't play real well.
Yeah.
But who cares? I'm so glad that we're now at the point for Georgia fans where we're ticked off over how we played in a win.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody just needs to relax. We can turn it and spin it as much. And Alabama's coming off a great win. We're coming off a game where we didn't look very good. You don't think Kirby's using that?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody thinks you're so good, and you just think you can roll the red hat out there and go get it done. That's not how football works. So and you could tell Carson didn't play very well. Okay. Yeah. He missed that one deep ball that he never misses when the guy was running the
Dylan Bell
Dylan Bell across the middle.
Vertical across the field. Yeah. He didn't miss that throw.
Yeah.
And he missed it. And offensive line, we lost Tate. And they were wreaking havoc up front. So, I mean, I know, and I saw Kirby, or I heard Kirby after the game talk about how difficult it is to win on the road. And I think he was really proud of his team of getting it done on a night, but they don't play well. And guys, you're not in a 12-game schedule. You're not going to have your A game every single week. And the opponent has something to do with that.
Sure.
You know? So I don't think it's in no way is anybody pushing the panic button in Athens. I'm not pushing the panic button. I know there are lots of fans out there that are, but we just need to if we don't come out Saturday and give the Tide our best shot, I'll be shocked. So
you touched on it a little bit, Paul, and I want to pick your brain about this from a coaching aspect, because I've been saying this all week and maybe I'm totally off base. So if Marist is 5-0, and I'm not going to name a team, and they're playing a team next week that's 0-5, and y'all sneak out of there with a 1-point victory, and your next opponent is Tucker, huge rivalry game, right?
Right.
Can the coaches at Georgia, like you said, Kirby Smart, using this 13-12 victory on the road, use that for the next 2 weeks to tell his team, you ain't where you think you are. You aren't as good as you think you are going into Bama. Or is that just kind of that game's just forgotten about and they move on? How would you as a coach use that? And is it used?
Well, I would say both. I would say you got to forget it because, number one, you can't do anything about it now. We're looking forward.
Right.
But you can learn from the mistakes, whether that's mental preparation, whether that's we weren't ready to play, whether they were playing harder than us. Sure, the execution part of it's easy. You can get on the board and watch film and correct yourself. Mm-hmm. But he can also use that motivationally, right? Hey, we're number one. We're just going to walk through our season and make the playoffs. That's not how this works. I mean, you got to fight for everything. And you're certainly going to use that, but I don't think he's got to get the team ready to play. They know what they're up against.
That's what I was going to ask, Paul. Is like how much do you kind of say like, oh, not so much you suck, right? But you use that like, oh, you only beat them by 1 point to now, can you even beat them? Like these are college athletes. They're now getting. It's totally different. I feel like from even when you played, Paul, which. Was I'm not going to say
it was back with leather helmets and
right. It's been a while, but now these guys are making millions of dollars. It's one of those like you can get onto them, but then they walk away and they go drive away in a Lamborghini. Like how would you balance that now with this whole NIL thing and being able to say still coach them, but you get what I'm saying? Like
yes, I totally understand what you're saying, but Kirby does a great job. First of all, he's established a culture and a program.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to sell that. He doesn't have to tell them, oh, okay, stay here. He coaches hard and the kids love it because their MO is we're trying to get you ready to play at the next level. Okay. So if you don't like that coaching, if you can't take that coaching, then frankly, I don't want you at Georgia because if you're looking for more money and this is a revenue stream for you, then this isn't the place for you. Yeah. So I can assure you that he doesn't have to motivate them. They know what they're up against. It can use it not in an execution way, but in a mental preparation way that, you don't want to get the big head like you're just the best team in the country. You've got to earn everything you get. And I'm sure that he can harp on that for 2 weeks, and the kids will get the message. They've already turned the page on Kentucky. It's over. It's gone. They're looking forward. We know that if we go in there and play our best game, then we're going to be in it. We got a chance to win the football game. That's it. Yeah. That's all you're focused on is playing your best when your best is required, and it's going to be required on Saturday.
Speaking of the best, we got Darth Flyer in here giving us $5. He says, just watched the LSU, Texas, and Georgia games in which they last beat Alabama. Common theme, is all the teams aired it out against Bama, foot on throat. Hey, Darth Flower, first off, we appreciate the donation, man. That helps out a ton for the channel. It helps Eddie get a new set of headphones every once in a while, so we appreciate that. And get him going. But no, that he brings up a good point, Paul, because that was going to be my next question to you was, you're an offensive coordinator. How are you attacking this Alabama team with your weapons that you have? Because here's we do a post-game overreaction show. We call it the POS, right? And there's a reason we call it the POS.
Yes.
It's a lot of it's a play, right?
Yeah,
and,
it's basically fire Bobo for 3 hours.
Yes.
No, we have a lot of fans that do want to fire Bobo, but
sure.
there's some that don't. One thing I brought up was I don't know if you really have a wide receiver one on this team necessarily.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you need one. So how do you attack this team with what you've got? This is your arsenal, Paul. You're an offensive coordinator. You've been an offensive coordinator for a long time now. This is your playbook. You got ETN. You've got the freshman running back. Where are you going here? What are you doing?
Well, you've got the biggest thing is you've got such an experienced quarterback, which that gives all kinds of confidence to not only the team, but the coaches. So if you know that, if the signal caller is cool, calm, and collected, then everything kind of flows from there. I haven't studied Bama's defense. The only thing that I can lock onto is that what I was frustrated by against Kentucky, and I bet you the staff says the same thing, is we couldn't establish a running game.
Yeah.
That is so vital, especially in the SEC. You've got to be able to run the football consistently. Everything moves from there. So if you start getting safeties hammering down to stop the run, it opens up the passing game. If the front seven are stopping the run, they don't have to load the box.
Right.
And now, based on the secondary and based on the talent in the secondary, like you said, we don't have a Brock Bowers anymore. Right. We don't have a Ladd McConkey anymore. Right. But you don't necessarily have to have game changers if you're running the football. But I think, believe me, guys, I think there are not a million. There are all kinds of teams in the country that would love our wideouts.
Right. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
It's not like we're playing with scrubs.
Yeah, exactly.
So
right.
These guys are great players.
So the question about the running game, though, do you think we're not able to run as well because maybe we don't have that threat of the deep shot, so they're creeping in and making us try to beat them running, and they're just shutting it down?
That's a great point. And you'd had the only way that you could that I would really know that is by studying film, which I have not. But from a principle standpoint, you're exactly right. I think we've got enough on the outside that people have to respect that. And with a quarterback who's a Heisman Trophy candidate, he's not a Heisman Trophy candidate for handing the football off.
Exactly.
He can. There's a lot of things he can do, and our vertical passing game isn't the problem. But when you're going against a good defense, you've got to be able to establish the run. And I would be shocked if they don't really focus on that. And you can't go into Tuscaloosa without being physical.
Right.
And I think the thing that I saw against Kentucky is that they were more physical than we were, especially on the defensive front. And I think the staff will tell you that. I think our offensive line didn't play very well. That could be some continuity. We had some injuries. I think, what was it, our left tackle?
Tate Ratliff went down. Right?
Yeah, and then Tate went down in the game, but I think we had
tackles. They pulled.
And continuity up front, guys, is huge. So I think there are a lot of factors in that. But I think we are going to come out with a chip on our shoulder and really try to establish the running game. We've got one of the best backs in the country. And we've got to get him the ball, and we've got to get him the ball consistently. And then based on what they're doing and adjusting to that is how well we're going to throw the football. But I would expect, like I said, I've got complete confidence in our signal caller. That's for sure. So they will have a good plan. They've got 2 weeks to prepare, just like Bama does. So I expect a heavyweight brawl in Tuscaloosa on Saturday night. That's for sure.
For those of y'all that are just joining us, this is Paul Etheridge, the Marist High School football offensive coordinator. Been there forever. Is a stud. His team's a stud.
Well, we don't know about him. His team is.
I can assure you, I've been called a lot of things. Stud.
Hey, there you go. First time.
I can vouch for that.
Yeah, right.
I mean, he's beating teams 57-0, 57-7 over here. Like it's nothing over here. So we appreciate him kind of breaking down from a coach's perspective for us what to see with this Georgia Alabama, matchup it's a huge game, humongous game.
You guys realize that this is going to be one of like 5 huge games?
I know.
Yes.
Have you ever seen a schedule like this?
No.
So how do you, Paul, have you ever had to run through your career kind of this murderer's row, if you will? And how do you keep guys healthy, but also get them the ball to where they can change the game for you? Because like last week, a lot of folks, because there's a new running backs coach now. It's Del McGee's gone, he's gone to Georgia State. And the gripe on Del was you get a guy going and then immediately he comes out of the game. The guy can rip off 2 10-yard runs back to back. Come on out. Let's throw another guy in there. It seems like with this running backs coach, he's really relying more on ETN than previous. I mean, he had close to 20 carries. The next guy on the list had 3. How do you manage from this murderer's row schedule, being able to play your best guys, but also that load management to where it's like, guys, we might have to play upwards of 16 games, to finish this thing off. And I need everybody here at the same time.
And, I don't think that's a great question. And my philosophy would be, and I think I've been in alignment. It's really not the ball games. It's really practice, right? So when you look at, you got 4 days every week.
You got bloody Tuesdays.
Yes, you got physical practices, right? The ball games, you're going to be primed and ready to go. A back with the skill of Etienne, he's got to touch the ball 20 times.
Yeah.
He's really that good. Yeah. And load management, remember, Herschel was carrying it 40-something times. So load management, let's keep a little perspective, right?
Sure.
But I feel confident in all that running back room is highly talented. Now we got some young kids. And I think in a hostile environment for the first time on the road for those young guys, and all the blitzes they were doing, because look, you see the backs run the ball, but blitz pickup is the number one important thing for running backs. And if they don't know who to block or aren't very good at blocking them, you're not going to see the field. So I think there were some other circumstances. The reason he carried the ball so much, or was how many snaps he played. But I think it's going to take your best people on Saturday night.
Yep.
What's interesting is, because we're playing so many games, is the load management, like I said, not from a game perspective, but from a practice perspective. So you've got to get him 4 or 5 really good reps, and then you got to get him out. Let the other guys get some really good reps. So it's going to be interesting. And I think late in the season and as the playoffs get close, I think injuries and depth are going to be enormous, and something that we haven't really had to consider in the past.
Right.
Depth's always important, but I think it's more important this year with the number of teams and the number of games that we're playing. And when you look at our schedule, guys, we've got 4 top 10 teams that we play, 3 of them on the road. So you talk about a battle-hardened, tough sons of you-know-whats. If we get through that schedule, and I'm not saying we're going to get through it unscathed, but if we get through that schedule and we are aligned in the playoffs, one of the top 4 or even number 5, that's a great year. Yeah. And let's face it, we're going to be in. I would think we would be in. I don't think we're going to lose all 5 of those games and we're going to be, 7-5 and out of the playoffs.
Right.
So then it's a brand new season. So all the depth and all of the rest that you got your guys now will help you in the next 3 games to try and go win it. So
and Paul, to your point, you said in the top 10, Texas is 1, Alabama's 4, Tennessee's 5, and Ole Miss is 6 in the new AP poll.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Right. 4 in the top 6.
It's not like we're not going to be battle tested, right? Yeah. Good Lord.
I don't think I've ever seen anything like that.
I know I haven't.
Yeah. I think they can do it. I think it's going to be – I think they can run it. So
I do too. But, they're not going to be intimidated by the environment is my point, okay? So you go into Tuscaloosa, then you got to go into Austin. Oxford's a sneaky, tough place to play. It's kind of like a Kentucky. If you go in there and think, oh, we got this, they will pound you. And Jackson Dart is legit. Yeah. I mean, he is a really, really good football player, and they're better on defense than they've been in the past.
Yep.
Everybody was sleeping on Tennessee. Now, that game last night was watching two mules pulling on a turnip. Look, I get the skill factor, but it was kind of sloppy, both of them. And I think both coaches would say, that was really sloppy. And if one team's playing that way and the other isn't, you get your brains beat now, but both of them were playing that way. So it kind of, and I thought Tennessee was by far the better team, and it could have been a lot more lopsided than it was. But Tennessee's for real too now. So
Sure. I don't want to take too much time on it, but Oklahoma did something that I didn't think would happen. They took out Jackson Arnold, who they've hyped up, and they put a true freshman in,
and he looked better.
He did, but
and he's
what type of set of
dynamic
brass balls you got to have to pull that in the middle of playing in that game?
Yeah. Well, what did they have to lose? I mean, that guy was playing terribly, and he looked rattled. Mm-hmm. He looked shaken
in his own stadium too.
Yeah, but it was a big game. And I know we're paying them, so we got to treat them like professional athletes. But that kid's a redshirt freshman.
Yeah,
and that is his first big game on the national stage. And but the luxury for us as Georgia fans is we don't have that. I mean, we got a guy who's been there. He's not gonna. I'm not saying he's gonna go out and play like Joe Montana, but I will tell you that he won't be rattled by the environment because he's been there, which is comforting.
Darth Flyer gave us another $2. That's another set of headphones for Eddie.
Eddie's getting all kinds of speakers.
I could throw these in the garbage now.
Yeah, throw them out, Eddie. He says, just load the box like the SEC champ and UK make Beck Butte to
beat you.
Okay. Yeah. So that he's saying Bama should load
Bama
the box.
should do that. Yeah.
And then like UK did, make Bama beat you. We've also
I think that's sound.
Foster Moss here says evening. We appreciate Foster as well. Question for you, Paul. If you're Alabama and you have Jalen Milroe, how do you beat Georgia?
Well, I think Kirby learned from the SEC championship last year that you cannot drop 8 against the guy.
No.
You've got to pressure him.
Yep.
Make him go through progressions quickly. Make him get the ball out of his hand quickly. Because if he sits back there and taps the football with a 3-man rush, they've got enough skilled people to burn you. Mm-hmm. And he can burn you with his feet.
Right. Yeah.
Now, the downside of that is if you don't stay in your lanes and he makes somebody miss, you're looking at a big play. So that was the concern, I think, last year going into especially in the first half. If you notice in the first half of that SEC championship game last year, Alabama went up and down the field. In the second half, they didn't do very much because Georgia started pressuring it. Mm-hmm. So I think they probably learned from that. And so I would expect them to try to not make him comfortable, to make him move in the pocket, to apply pressure from different looks, to see if he can pick it up or find his hot or get rid of the ball quickly. And I think Alabama's saying, okay, I think they know that that's coming. They're going to devise a scheme for a lot of quarterback runs, a lot of draws, quick passes if we're getting a lot of pressure. So it's going to be our ability to pressure him, our ability to tackle him, sack him, and to tackle. Because if you throw a 5-yard hitch and you miss a tackle, it turns into a 45-yard gain. So
Paul, is there a different type of rush when it comes to facing a quarterback like Milroe? Like you face a quarterback like Kirk Cousins, all right? Is the rush instructed to rush Kirk Cousins differently than a Jalen Milroe? It sounds stupid, right?
No, it's not. It's 100% correct.
Right, but I mean, you're not going full force right after Milroe and he's by you before know it, right? So there's
Do you remember? Yes, that's absolutely correct. The biggest example of that was when Georgia played Hendon Hooker. Remember when they came down to Athens?
Yeah.
And if you go back and watch that first half, our defensive ends are getting up the field, but they are not going past the quarterback. Mm-hmm. We are pushing from the middle. We wanted to keep him in the pocket and make him go through his progressions and attack downfield in the pocket. So it wasn't so much of a all-out blitz or, trying to get a spin move back inside to make a sack, which you can do versus Kirk Cousins. You're not going to do that versus Milroe. So there are two different types. On a 4-man non-pressure rush, you can try to develop a pocket. But on a blitz, it's all bets are off. We got to get there. So if there's an open gap, we got to go get it. I'm not a big fan of spying because it seems
so Paul, that I was going to work. We have that question. I promise you, especially God forbid if Alabama wins this game, this question will be asked, I don't know, 15 different times. Why wasn't there just a spy on Jalen Milroe the whole game? So can you break that down? Because that was going to be my question. You brought it up before I could ask it.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. Well, why couldn't we just put Raylan Wilson on him for every single play and lock it down that way? Why can't you do that every play?
It gets down to math, guys. So, I mean, if they're an empty, right, you're not going to – so if you're going to spy someone, they're either not in coverage or they're not rushing.
Right.
Okay, so then it comes down to math. And a spy, what's he going to shadow him the entire time, right? And then if he takes off and he gets 4 or 5 yards, okay, the spy stopped him from getting a long gain. But
it's 5 yards.
Right, it's still 5 yards. And it's got to fit into your scheme. Okay, what if you show a blitz look on 3rd and 8? And that's why sometimes I think rushes on 3rd and 8 or 3rd and 12, a draw, or even like anything like a stretch out of a spread set on 3rd and 8 when they've got a blitz called, to me, those are hidden gems. And if you pop one of those when they've got a spy and they're blitzing, you're in real trouble. So it's got to fit in the scheme. I think if you can confuse the quarterback from different looks, show pressure one side, bring it the other, walk linebackers up, drop them, get him to check the play at the line of scrimmage and then drop into coverage. There's a lot of things you can do to try to confuse a quarterback. And I think that's probably going to be the game plan on Sunday. And we won't know what they've drawn up. That's where the whole 2-week thing comes in. You're going to see plays from both sides that they haven't run before or yet. So there could be some explosives because of that. If you don't see that on film and you're not preparing for it, there's no way for you to know what's coming. But then it's your people versus their people. I mean, do we recognize it? Do you have football savvy? Do you understand it? Did you line up to the formation correctly? So there's all kinds of variables that go into it. I am not a big fan of spying. I would rather try to get there and then come off man coverage if you need to. But I want to keep him in the pocket as much as possible with 4- and 5-man pressures.
Yep.
I don't want to see 3-man rush. He's comfortable there. He can play backyard football with a 3-man rush. He can move around, routes break down, they're off schedule, somebody gets open. That's what he's good at.
Yeah, he's not great in the pocket.
That's right. If you light him up where he's got to get rid of the ball very quickly because he's got he's got to recognize the blitz, he's got to see the coverage, and he's got to know where his hot is, and he has to do it just like that.
Right.
Yeah. I want to see him do that before I anoint him.
On a 2-man rush, he's good at 4th and 31, though. He can definitely do that.
Eddie's always looking for this.
I know. He's so negative.
Paul, that's not negative. Paul, that happened. I didn't make that up.
I know it happened, but you keep harping on it. Can we move on?
No.
Paul Maharry.
Andy, I've been dealing with this guy since I was 10. I know how he rolls.
Paul, me and you, we're both Pauls here, right? I am so glad you brought that up because we have a group chat, and this is the most pessimistic man I've ever met in my entire life. You could tell him the sky is blue outside, and he'll tell you it's because of chemtrails or something like that. And we're all going to die soon. Right. Like that's where he would go with
Which is probably true, and I'm facting, and you're not.
So. Look, as my favorite 80s band, he's notorious for that.
Dude, it's
notorious. I'll get a text 5 minutes into the game, we're going to get our ass kicked. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? It's the first drive.
Dude,
oh my God.
That's why I stopped texting during the games, guys. That's exactly why.
Right.
Yeah, he won't text us during the games now because because what would end up happening, Paul, is he would get so irrational that we'd be like, Eddie, calm down. Like it's
relax, man.
They had the punch ball there.
What is fan short for? Fanatic. Okay, that's what I am. I'm not going to apologize for it. Screw all you guys. How about that? Let's move on.
I just love that my brother Paul was able.
I knew you'd love. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it.
Was able to show me that I'm not crazy.
Hey, those are facts. Facts are tough, man.
Here's the thing, Paul. Here's the thing: is Eddie tries to make me feel like I'm the crazy one when I call him. You are. That's what it is, and he's almost done a good job to where I've been like, man, am I the one going wild here? No, I'm not.
Mentally tough.
It's working.
Don't buy into that. Don't buy into that.
Jermaine King says, and I brought this up to my coworker. I said, I do the show with this guy, and he's just so pessimistic about every sport in Atlanta. And he goes, well, look, dude, he's a little bit older than you. He's lived through the Falcons and the Bulldogs letting him down.
Right there. Listen, it is hard to be optimistic as an Atlanta and as a Georgia fan because that's where we grew up. We were good enough to be right there, and it never really happened.
But I think now
I get where he's coming from.
But Paul, I think now it's okay. He can let that frustration go. There's 2 national titles now.
Sure,
the Braves
I'm happy
won
with that.
one.
Yeah, no doubt. And by the way, Paul, we really appreciate you coming on the show. This is the last time you were coming on this show.
No way.
We really appreciate it.
No, Andy and Paul will invite me next week.
We will send you the link next week. You're back.
Here's the thing, Paul. He doesn't send the links, brother. You saw who you got that link from.
There we go.
He has no control over that.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And look, we even have people, Foster Moss, saying, Eddie, take your blood pressure medicine before the Falcons game now, okay? Make sure you take that.
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Yeah, because God almighty, tonight.
Texting, don't worry about it. You won't hear anything from me. It's okay.
Does that mean you're positive or that you're just not going to share your negativity?
Oh, no. All this stuff's going around in my head. I'm just not going to vocalize it to these guys.
Yeah, because it got to be too much. It got to be too much, Paul. Before we let you go, because I know you do want to go catch the game, and I really do appreciate you coming on with us. Overall, where do you see this Georgia team kind of ending up if we don't have you on before the end of the season? Which I'd love to have you back on. And you just tell us your time. You know what, Paul? You know what, Paul, would be really cool? Maybe one Friday. I don't know. You maybe invite us up there to watch the Marist team.
I would love, guys. Yes, 100%.
Let's do it.
Just saying, we show
passes. Let's do this.
Yeah, we show up. I'd love to see the team, especially if you're clocking dudes 57-0. I mean, I'm all for this. Yeah, I'm all for that.
Anytime. Listen, this is our really, I don't want to say our first test because Kentucky was a test, obviously, but we will not be Pearl Harbored in Tuscaloosa. Okay. There's no surprise attack. They don't have an edge that we won't have, meaning Kentucky had that edge being embarrassed, and that was our first road game, and it's Kentucky. So I think there are a lot of variables. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying those are factors. None of those will be factors on Saturday night. So I think this is a real test. And if we can go in there and get a W, I think these are kids. I think our confidence skyrockets. Kirby does a really good job of keeping the thing, right? Week to week, get better every week, but it will inject a lot of energy and confidence into the team. And even if we go in there and we play our ass off and it's a close game and we get beat, in no way is our season over. There's way too much on the line and way too many good teams that we have to prepare for. I expect us to go in there and compete. Vegas thinks that we're going to go in there and win the game. Yeah. The line, we're minus 2.5.
The line hasn't moved.
Oh my gosh. I'm telling you, that is a tell that Vegas thinks that we're going to win the football game. So that I liked hearing that. Doesn't mean we are, but I like the fact that the betting line, the betting people, the people that make money on this think that we're a better football team.
Even at the Kentucky game.
Yes, even at Alabama. It doesn't mean we will. That means nothing between the lines on Saturday night. Zero. Okay. Mm-hmm. But just from a perspective as a fan, it gives me confidence that I'm looking at the same thing that everybody else is. Right. Yeah. And I don't know if you guys feel this or not. I do. I don't feel the same way about Alabama without Nick Saban there.
No.
And maybe that's not justified. Maybe that's not real. I'm willing to concede that, but it just feels different.
Sure.
The magic is gone. The spell, whatever that was.
The voodoo doll.
There's 7 rings on his fingers. There's none on the boards. Nothing.
You can't tell me that's not a difference. Okay. There's only one Nick Saban, right?
He's the boogeyman. I mean,
that's exactly right. It's exactly right. And we don't have that. So I feel more confident. Maybe there's no justification for it because Alabama's still a great football team, but it feels that way, right? So I'm being positive. I'd like you to take some notes. I feel like we're going to be ready to go. And like I said, I really feel like we're going to give them our best punch. And I can live with that, regardless of the outcome.
I love it. Well, guys, this has been incredible. And Paul Etheridge, get into the mind of an OC, a guy who's been doing a long time at a high-level program in Marist. They're 4-0. Played at Georgia. He knows what he's talking about a little bit. A lot more than Andy, myself, and Eddie combined. So we appreciate you hopping on with us, Paul. And hey, just tell old EFA. Let us know. We'll be out there. Just name the date.
You got it, my man.
Get some. I love some nachos from a concession stand.
Oh, now he wants free concessions. Like I mean,
hey, man, Paul, if I'm coming there, it's like being in a box. It's free food.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. If I'm coming to Marist, I'd like some free nachos. That's all I'm asking.
Maybe a hot dog, maybe some fries.
Okay, now Eddie, you're going a little too far. Just let's see if we can get nachos out of it. Okay.
I'm not making them. I'll tell you that. I'm not making them. Yeah. I'm not making it.
Paul, we appreciate you.
Okay.
We appreciate you so much, man. Thank you for coming on with us.
Thanks, guys. Great show. Love seeing you guys.
Appreciate
Have
it.
a good one.
Appreciate it.
Talk to you soon. Bye. Paul Etheridge there, Marist OC. He's awesome, man. I really he's got a really good football mind. So you're able to dive in and ask some deep questions on because folks are going to be asking. They're going to be asking why didn't Georgia spy the whole game or these certain things, and he brought the heat on that.
When I was looking at who my impact player was going to be, my M. Jones impact player, I was thinking, would it be a spy? That
was mine.
I didn't do it, but that's what I was wondering.
Just real quick before we get off of that, he said he wasn't a fan of it, but from my recollection, Kirby Smart does tend to have a spy, does he not? Am I wrong about that?
I don't want to put words in his mouth. I think what he meant was not every play. He's going to have a spy out there at certain times.
Okay.
But every play type thing, because that's what folks are going to ask. Why didn't Raylan Wilson just follow him around the field? And you can't do that in certain situations because you're lacking on coverage or lacking on pass rush at that point. So there will be a spy out there at some points, but of course the 20-yard run is going to be the one there's nobody spying him there. Right. So you're going to see that. But I really do appreciate that from Paul. That was really good stuff. Before we get out of here, guys, we've got a couple things we've got to do, and that went a little longer than I had anticipated. We got a lot more show notes here that we didn't get to run through, but that's all right. I was having a blast interviewing him. Really, you get an offensive mind like that, and he's able to kind of break down stuff for you at a elementary level, especially for us guys like us. I am going to hold him to those nachos though, because I do love it.
Now I have an assignment. It sounds like.
Yeah, you do. M. Jones, they're the guys. Okay, mjoneshvac.com. Man, it's time. It's getting close. It's getting real close.
And it's 95 degrees again. So if you're having
Andy, can you really kind of shit on my week last week when you said it was 90 degrees this week. Do you have better news for this week?
Yes. Well, it looks like we're going to be getting some rain, so it's not going to be as hot. So it's going to, So
Thursday it says high of 79, low of 58. When you get into the 50s,
it's going to be raining though. But so it's raining. But that means it's going to start getting cold. You're going to be needing some heat. Your heat's going to have to work. So who do you call?
I call M. Jones.
That's right.
I would.
You can call them, but the best thing to do to go to mjoneshvac.com. You can Google it. They'll come up right there and click the contact us now button. And yet it avoids a phone call. Send them a message, and they'll get back to you and come out there and fix your system. So, or
Guess what,
give you an estimate on your new one.
Guess what, though? You mentioned UJSports.com, guys. You're in the state of Georgia. Mention UJSports.com. 10% off repairs and 5% off of new installs. Guys, do not wait. Like Eddie has said on numerous shows, 2025, the heating and HVAC regulations are completely changing. Prices are going to skyrocket. These guys right now want to get you fixed up before all that happens, and they're huge dog fans. That's the big thing.
Yep.
Why work with the competition? Why work with the guys that don't love talking Bulldog sports? Why not have this guy working on your HVAC, and you can talk about Carson Beck against Alabama. You can talk about that type of stuff, and they'll talk back with you. So,
hell, an Auburn fan might come out and sabotage your system, right? Nick Fairley it or something.
Right. These guys,
he wouldn't be smart.
If they're dogs, they're trustworthy, right? You know who's working on your stuff. So, mjoneshvac.com. You see it on the screen here. They are a Rude Pro partner. Means they get the job done, guys. Rude is not going to put their name online for any HVAC company. M. Jones gets that done. So we appreciate them sponsoring the show. And again, they also get their own little kind of sponsor that we made up, the M. Jones player of the game and impact player of the game. What do you got, Andy? Start us off.
Well, so for next week,
wait. Are we doing the Falcons? Or
we're doing the Dogs. We're doing the Dogs.
I'm throwing this to Andy right now. Andy's going to take us.
Right. We're going to do the Dogs. Let's do the Dogs. So next week, obviously we're going to Tuscaloosa. So I think my M. Jones player of the game needs to be Oscar Delp. We're having some issues on the offensive line. You've seen Tate Ratledge go down. So Oscar Delp is going to have to be in there to block for the run game, and he's going to have to help block to keep Carson Beck standing. So I think Oscar Delp's going to have to be huge. And if he makes an impact, we'll probably win the game.
I really, really hope Foster's trolling us right now. He just said Kirk threw a pick on the first play.
Oh, shoot.
I really hope Foster's trolling us.
No, I doubt he is. Why would he come in there and say that?
It's Foster. It's a 50-50 shot. It's Foster. It's truly 50-50. Impact player of the game for Georgia, Alabama, Eddie. We'll try to wrap this up quick so we don't miss the if he did throw a pick. Good God.
Jeez. All right. Wonderful. I'm going to go with C.J. Allen, and it's
okay. All right. Yeah, Marshall said he's lying. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Good. He said I was playing, trying to make Eddie mad. Dude, I'm over here about to pull up on.
That wouldn't make me mad. I'd be like, well, that's a Falcon.
See, here's the problem, Foster. It wouldn't make him mad. It would a little bit. He's like the Grinch, a little bit in his head. He kind of would like it.
I don't like that. It's just reality.
He kind of would like that, Foster.
That I hate when you say that. Yeah, I kind of like it. That pisses me off because I don't like it at all.
M. Jones player of the game next week, Mr.
That player is going to gotta be, in my opinion, to win the game. C.J. Allen, and it's along the veins we talked about with Paul. I think he is going to be playing that spy a little bit against Jalen Milroe.
Yeah,
and you got to contain him as much as possible. And C.J. is going to be playing that role. And make him throw, right? I think that's what you got to do. He has 6 rushing TDs this year, and he has not had a turnover yet. But the team, I looked at this, guys. I was shocked. The team has 6 fumbles, and they lost 4 of those this year. So they're prone to fumbling.
Yeah, they're putting the ball on the ground.
Yeah, they really are. But here's the difference. They are 51% on third down. You know what Georgia is? 38. There's your difference. We got to stop them on third down.
And Alabama is running the ball really well. They are running for 238 yards a game. That is a lot. So we're only running for 145 or 146.
I don't want to put too much pressure on my M. Jones impact player of the game. I was going to go Michael Williams. I'm going Jalen Walker. I don't know how I would love to see Michael
I almost said that too, Paul, but he's coming off the injury.
I don't know. I don't want to put too much pressure. Like, how much can you expect to truly see him out there? Now, don't get me wrong. You can't have Ingram Dawkins. Love him to death. He's one of my favorite players on the team. You can't have him out there for 85% of the snaps. You can't do that again. So you need depth back on the defensive line. And Jalen Walker, I think, is going to be the impact player, the X factor, if you will, for this Georgia defense. He's going to be the one that's going to be able to pressure and hit Jalen Milroe and make him feel the hit. So that's my impact player. He's done great so far. Just a quick little shout out. KC says, I say get Arian and Bellenbaum.
Yes.
100%.
I don't know if they need to be the impact player, but you need a wide receiver to step up. You need you need somebody to go over 100 yards at wide receiver this game. I feel like to really feel like you have a great shot at this. What's next, Andy?
Well, my M. Jones impact player of the game tonight for the Atlanta Falcons, I said that it was going to be Jesse Bates. He's going to have to be good.
It's a good pick. It's a good pick.
Yeah, he's one of the best safeties in football, and I think he's going to be. They're going to test him. They're going to be testing this defense. So I think he's going to have to make some plays, maybe even get an interception. So yeah,
I don't want Eddie to steal mine here. I'm going next. Drake London.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Drake London. I think this is. Folks have waited, right? We have waited for I have the Drake London party, and he's had excuses, right? Not had the greatest quarterback, Sunday night game, all eyes on you. You caught a touchdown pass, led the team down against Philly. Go 2 nights in a row, 2 premier nights in a row, football-wise, and show them that you're a wide receiver 1 for this Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, I like it. Mine's the offensive line.
Oh, you're just going to go with the whole thing?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the whole thing, the offensive line. Week 1, they were beat up by Watt. He destroyed them, and I think they took it as a personal challenge and really did really well against a tough – we saw it today against the Saints, tough defensive front for the Philadelphia Eagles. We ground out 152 yards on the running game. They got to do that again tonight. And the biggest thing that they did last week, they got to replicate tonight because it may come down to this. That last drive, Kirk was completely clean for those, 4 or 5 passes he made. He had all day to figure out what he wanted to do with the football. Zero pressure.
Well, Kirk Cousins just passed Drake London for a touchdown. Right there.
London just scored, baby. My impact player.
Wait, I'm mad. I'm mad because we scored. That's not what I wanted to happen. I want to lose.
Oh man.
Stowe and Eddie is back.
Y'all bring it out of me.
Hey guys, next Sunday, 7:30, we'll be back. The Peach State Power Hour will be here. Big game to talk about, guys. So also to kind of give you an idea, after the game, we will be having the POS show. It'll be late night. So, but I think we'll have a lot of fun on that show. And if it's any indication of how these 7:30 games have gone on ABC, we're not starting that show until like 11:45. Yeah, so these games, for whatever reason, they're taking 4 hours now, and I'm not a huge fan of that. But they are. So we'll be here late night for you Saturday with the POS, and then Sunday night we will have the Peach State Power Hour. What you got, Andy?
One thing before we go: the Braves, they won today, and they have 6 games.
Oh yeah, will the season be over by Sunday?
Yeah, 6 games. Yeah, so it'll be their final game will be Sunday. So they will be finished because they will be done. They play Kansas City at 3:20. 6 games.
Put your dollar down, Andy.
All right. I am going to say the Braves will win 4 of the next 6 games. They'll win both series, and I think they'll sneak into the playoffs.
Eddie?
They're not making it. The Mets are going to come in here and take two of 3, and that'll doom us. I just have zero confidence this team can get in the playoffs. Zero.
I think we win that Mets series and the Kansas City series to go to the playoffs.
Look, I've stayed on Optimism Island. I'm not going anywhere, boys.
I didn't think
hanging in till the end. I'm taking them all the way. I'm taking them to the playoffs. No, not all the way to the World Series. I'm taking them to the playoffs. Yeah, I'm taking them in. You guys, we appreciate you so much for joining us. Go watch that Falcons game. Falcons are up early. See if they can actually hold on to it.
Is Taylor Swift there? Do we know? Is she there? I don't really care. I'm just curious.
No, you do care. You do care.
I'd rather see Gracie Hunt than her, but I'm just curious if she's there.
All right, now he's just throwing out celebrities' names. Guys, we'll get out of here before his wife hears him in the background. We appreciate you so much. This is you've thrown me so off. This is the Peach State Power Hour presented by UGAsports.com and M. Jones HVAC. We'll see you next Sunday.